You wouldn't build a house without a foundation, so why try to build a business without one? Grow your contracting business and grow your mind with Growth Mindset Monday.
Hello, and welcome back to Mindset Monday. I'm your host, Garrett Bake. Excited to be here with you guys in partnership with Contractor Plus. Listen, I want you to know something. I'm a little frustrated about this weekend. We're just going to jump into it, by the way. I'm a little frustrated by this weekend, and there's two reasons why, and I'll share them with you here in a second. Before we do, though, if you're here with us live, you know what to do. Go ahead and drop your name and your business name, your location, so we can give you a shout out. Now, why am I frustrated? Why am I frustrated? Well, on Saturday, my wife said, "Hey, let's go look at some of these model homes that are out and about." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I love to go to model homes, get design ideas, right? See some inspiration." She's always planning the next house, which she is now. It's probably going to be a barndo and probably on some acreage. So I'm prepping for that one. Well, we end up going to a couple of the model home communities, and I won't name the builder because who knows, maybe down the road they might hear about us and not like us so much. But this is what I will tell you. High end, or they position themselves as being a high end or a luxury builder. And we go to their model homes, and their model homes are at the top of these hills, right? And beautiful hills. They look over a lake. I mean, it's just like, it's really, really beautiful. You got mountains on one side, snow-covered peaks. These homes start at like, I don't know, 1.5, right? They're not cheap homes. And we go through and we wander through the model homes a little bit, and we're standing outside kind of looking over the view, right? And admiring the view. And I look down and I notice that there's some issues with the soil. Now, the only reason I look at this stuff now is because I have a couple of buddies who are builders, and we've been looking at or talking about foundations, right? And the issue with foundations. And I'm like, that doesn't quite look right. And we wander around the neighborhood and we see a sign in a window that says, "Ex builder, fix my problems." And I was like, wow, sounds like there's something serious going on here. Well, we end up wandering around in our truck and end up going to this neighborhood next door, same, hillside, if you will. But this one is not a builder. This is just, custom homes, if you will. And there's an open house for this beautiful 3-story, 6,500 square foot home, full workout room in the basement, just beautiful home. And so we go in, which, by the way, the realtor had a pink Porsche. I'd never seen a pink Porsche before, but that's what she had. Super nice lady. But we're going through and we're talking, and she's like, "Yeah, my husband and I live just down the street. We buy these, we remodel them. In fact, we're building these 2 new homes, up the mountain a little bit." And I was like, "Well, you guys had any foundation issues here?" And she's like, "Yeah, actually, there's a lot of foundation issues here. But, here's what we do, the pylons and whatnot to mitigate that foundation risk." And I was like, "Yeah, we were just over at so-and-so builders." And she's like, "Oh yeah, they have foundation issues. In fact, they're getting sued by a lot of the residents right now because they're ignoring them. Like they're settling issues and foundation issues." I was like, man, that sucks, right? You don't want to be that guy. But here's the interesting part, right? And really the purpose of our conversation today. Y'all know, you're homeowners, you're home builders, you understand construction. And the most important part of every home is what? It's not the pretty features. It's not the nice walls here. It's not the plants that you put in there, right? The most important features in a home are the foundation. That's it. The most important. Whether you're doing stem walls, whether you're doing a post tension slab, whatever it is that you're doing, the foundation is the most important. In fact, here recently, in the last couple of years, there was a big heavy rainstorm, and there were 2 houses that literally like slid down the hill. Crazy, right? It all has to do with the foundation. And this will tie into my second story, but I want you guys to understand, or maybe just start to think about for right now, the importance of the foundation of your business, right? Building a home is all about the fundamentals. Wiring the house, all about the fundamentals. Putting a roof on, you guessed it, fundamentals. It doesn't matter what your trade is. It's all about the fundamentals. Now, I'm going to take a second here and give a shout out to some folks that have chimed in. Gary Hutchison, Advanced Power, South Jersey, welcome to the show. Reginald Hines, Seanway Home Improvement, Albany, Georgia, welcome. We got Calsan of Calsan Cooks and More says, there's the presenter. Yes, sir, right here. We've got Joe Molsky, Joe M Contracting, welcome to the show. We got Edward Schwartz, ES Handy Services out of Florida. Welcome to the show. Again, if you're here with us live, go ahead and drop your name, your business name, where you're from, so we can shout you out. Now, why am I bringing up the foundation of a home? You're like, well, yeah, Garrett, duh, that's obvious. Is it though? Right? Why do we keep having foundation issues with home builders when for years people have known the importance of foundations? Because they don't pay attention to the fundamentals like they should, right? Now, I'm going to tie this into my second story. This weekend, Home and Garden Show. That's right. You guessed it, springtime. So wherever it is that you're at right now, odds are there's a Home and Garden Show going on this weekend, next weekend, or the following, right? Home and Garden Shows all over the place. So this is a pretty large Home and Garden Show. And in fact, when we went into the convention center, I think when we counted, there was probably 150 to 200 vendors in this space, right? Massive. There's a ton of vendors there, right? And Home and Garden Show, but there's, plumbers, there's electricians, there's landscapers. By the way, this one landscape company built an entire elevated pool, spa, entertainment area right in the middle of the convention center. It was pretty sick, pretty cool. But anyway, so there's vendors. You guys have been to these trade shows. Some of you have participated in these trade shows. Now, I promised my wife, happy wife, happy life. I promised my wife that I was not going to solicit business. I was not going to engage in business conversations this weekend. So I didn't. I just went with the purpose of learning about new products or services, meeting new people. Like, that's all it was. We were there for 3 hours on Sunday. Okay. I want you to take a guess as to how many booths, we'll say, or contractors inside of booths either acknowledged us or attempted to have a conversation with us. Okay. 2 things: acknowledged us or attempted to have a conversation with us. So I'm gonna give a couple of shout outs. I want you guys to think. If you want to drop it in the chat, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Let's see who gets closest. So let's just say there's 250 vendors, right? Different trade business owners. Sure, Verizon was in there, and the health insurance and the realty people, but the majority of them were contractors. We're inside of this space. How many of them actually attempted to either say hi or attempted to have a conversation with us? We've got a couple more folks that are here in the show. Niata O'Neill, nice. Apologize if I'm saying that wrong. Time to Shine Cleaning Service, Portsmouth, Virginia. I'll be in Virginia at the end of the month. Norfolk, visiting my kids. Justin Munsell, All Works Handyman Services. Welcome to the show. All right, so we've got a couple of guesses here. We've got 25. Justin, good guess. 25. Edward, he's like, you know what? I'm a contractor. I know how to play this game. 12. Okay, so we had 25 and 12 as our 2 guesses. Drum roll. There were 5. 5. That is it. 250 vendors, 1 space, 1 intention, which, by the way, why do you go to a trade show if not to talk to people and try and drum up more business? I don't know. 5 people. 5 people. And most of them were just a hi. There was only 2 of them who engaged in conversation with us. Now, this doesn't include the people that I knew there, which is probably, let's call it 10 to 20. 5. That was it. So in a room full of potential clients, right? By the way, why do people go to home shows? They're probably wanting to buy. Maybe not right now, but they're probably interested, which is why they're going. So in a room full, or I should say convention center full of people, probably over the 3 days that they were there, there's probably 20 to 30,000 people that went through there, right? 5, that's it. Now, let's take out the people who were already engaged in conversation with other people, which I would say was probably, 15%, not that many. Still, the odds were not good that someone was going to have a conversation with you. Now, there were even some empty booths. Mind you, you're paying thousands of dollars to be in front of consumers, and you have an empty booth that just has your business name. It's got a bowl with some business cards in it. There were some booths that people were sitting in their chairs behind a table, back in the corner, scrolling through their phone or playing around on a computer. Like literally nothing happening. And my wife and I we weren't hurriedly walking down the aisles trying to see how fast we could make it through there, get our steps in for the day. We were there to meet people, to talk to people. Now, there were a couple of people that we engaged because we were interested in their things, right? But think about this for a minute. Why would you invest tens of thousands of dollars to put yourself and your business in front of potential clients only to not engage with them? Now, why do you guys think that is? By the way, I'm curious if any of you guys have actually spent money to put a booth in a trade show. Let me know. I'm curious because this is a really interesting conversation piece to me. Because when we talk about the fundamentals of business, what is it that we're talking about? We're talking about the basics, right? When we talk about the fundamentals of building a house, we talk about the foundation, right? And the importance of the foundation. If you don't have a solid foundation, what's going to happen? It's going to crack, fall apart, and ultimately you're not going to have a product that's worth anything. It's the same thing with your business. You guys think that just by having this really cool name or this really cool slogan or this really cool logo that people are going to want to do business with you? Which, by the way, one guy who didn't talk to us, I just commented to him, "Hey, I like your logo." He's like, "Oh, thanks." But didn't engage in conversation. So we just kept going, right? So think about this. You're a contractor for a reason. And maybe it's because you really like woodworking, or you really like landscaping, or you really like remodeling, or you really like roofs or electrical or plumbing. That's why you became a contractor, because you really like it. But I'm going to tell you right now from experience, if your goal is to grow a business, you will never do it without the proper fundamentals. I have to remind people of this. The COVID days of running a business are over. The COVID days of slap a magnet on the side of your vehicle, chucking a truck, like your phone's ringing off the hook because people can't find anybody because everybody's working on their houses, or everybody's remodeling, or everybody wants to move, or everybody insert blank. Those days are over. I'm not here to be the person or the bearer of bad news, as they like to say, right? Housing markets slow down a little bit. It hasn't stopped. It's never going to stop. But has it slowed down? Yes, it has slowed down. But what are you doing for your business right now, right? The fundamental principle of every business is, in order to keep the doors open, you have to market, you have to sell, and you have to do the thing that you said you were going to do, right? Fulfill on the thing that you sold. That's the fundamental of every business. Now, you may be the best handyman, or you may be the best plumber, or you may have the best tool set in the entire world. But if you can't market your business, you don't have a business. You have a job. And I don't mean a job. I mean just over broke. Now, this last week, I was also in California visiting one of my favorite clients out there. It's a plumbing company. Now, they mainly do commercial work. They do some residential, but it's through a partnership. So they don't actively have to market. The problem with that is I look at the missed opportunities. So they've got 25 vans. All of their vans are white. None of their vans have anything written on the side. None of them. And they're in California, LA metro area, and then they have a group up in like Fresno, NorCal. So think about this for a minute, okay? We talked about marketing in a trade show, which some of you guys will do and some of you guys won't. But most of you guys drive around. Perfect opportunity to market. I've seen some really cool vehicles with some really cool wraps that don't have a website, don't have a phone number that's visible across all sides, or don't have a QR code. And then I've seen some that really do. Well, this plumbing company, I asked them, why don't you have anything on the side of your trucks? And they're like, well, we were getting hit hard. In other words, people were breaking into their vans and stealing their stuff. And I'm like, totally get it. But is that an excuse for not marketing? Could you not create some 3x3 magnetic signs that you could slap on the side of the vans, and then at the end of the night, your techs take those and they put them inside the van and they don't see it anymore? Sure, you could, but you haven't. So you're driving in front of, let's just call it tens of thousands, every van in front of tens of thousands of people every single day. 25 vans, right? So let's just say between the 25 vans, 250,000 people. Opportunities for eyeballs to see you and your business, and you got nothing. You got nothing. So the fundamentals, right? The fundamentals are what matter. Now, I'm not here just to kick in the balls, right? I want to give you some stuff that you can understand. And more importantly, implement. So let's start with this, okay? The 3 core principles of business. You have to be able to market. You have to be able to sell. You have to be able to do what you sold, or complete the thing that you sold, right? Do what you said you're going to do. Those are the 3. If you don't market, you won't have anything to sell. If you don't have anything to sell, you won't have anything to fulfill, period. Okay. So marketing, foundational principle, marketing. Some of you guys hate marketing. Some of you guys hate talking to people. Some of you guys hate advertising, right? You will never grow a business until you learn to love it. Trust me, it's not as bad as an ice bath, 30 degrees at 5 o'clock in the morning. I've tried both. I prefer marketing. So you have to learn to get comfortable in the uncomfortable, which, by the way, everything new is uncomfortable at the beginning. Everything new. I don't care what you're doing. I'm currently training for a marathon. I run, I think, 13 marathons in my life, but I haven't run one for a couple years. Guess what? I got to get my legs used to the mileage again. It's uncomfortable. No, it's actually worse than uncomfortable. It sucks. I'm not going to tell you it's like glamorous or anything. Sure, you get some runner's high feelings while you're going, but I did 20 miles on Saturday, and I'm telling you what, after mile 15, I was like, get me the F off this road. Like, I'm tired. My legs hurt. My knees hurt. Like, I'm done and I'm hungry. Like, let's go. Right. But it's the fundamentals. In order for me to run a marathon, I have to go through the steps to train my body to get to the point that it can run a marathon. Right. If you want to get good at mastering marketing, you have to put in the reps for marketing. I'm actually going to do an experiment. I told Melissa, my wife, I was like, I'm going to do an experiment at this next trade show. I'm going to set up a booth and I'm going to see what I can sell. I'm going to pick something, a roofing company, HVAC. I'm going to pick something, and I'm just going to see how many people I can talk to and what I can sell, just to prove it to people. Right? Like, that's it. No other reason. By the way, I've done this. I've done this with some of my clients. I won't mention their names. Previous trade show, roofing company. They have this beautiful booth. They have this canopy set up, and everything's looking good. They've got giveaways. They've got cornhole. Like, it's a good booth, right? But I'm sitting there or standing there talking to them, and I'm just watching people go by and go by and go by, and nobody's engaging these people going by. So I was like, hey, watch this. So I walked out with the 3 sandbags, and I walk out and I see this gentleman, and I'm like, hey, how good are you at cornhole? And he's like, oh, I'm not too bad. I'm like, bet you can't beat me. And he's like, so then he comes into the booth, right? We play around for like a minute or two, engage in conversation. I hand him off to the owner of the business. He ends up scheduling a free roof inspection. 2 minutes, right? Like, you have to get comfortable getting out of your shell. It's that weird, awkward, like, hey, I want to date her, but like, I don't know if she likes me or not. Well, you're never going to know if she likes you or not if you just sit there and stare at her from the other side of the room. Like, you have to take action. So my invitation for you guys is, number one, and most importantly, figure out what it is you suck at right now. Which, by the way, if you're ballsy enough to put this in the comments, I'll have that conversation with you and I'll help you out. If you're not, hey, no big deal. Figure out what you suck at right now. Until you can figure out what you suck at, you'll never build a game plan to get better. Never, right? Figure out what you suck at, and then let's get a game plan together to figure it out. I'm currently knee-deep in studying Jordan Belfort. Now, some of you guys know him, The Wolf of Wall Street. Cool movie, right? Leonardo DiCaprio. But my challenge is to actually read his story, right? His background. I'm reading one of his books right now, listening actually. And it's really interesting to hear that the game that he plays is a game of repetition. He's like rinse and repeat. You find something that works and then you rinse and repeat. You do the thing you know is going to lead to results and then you just rinse and repeat. You guys have to learn to fall in love with the fundamentals. So Michael, thank you for sharing, by the way, says networking, great with customers, not with other companies. Ah, ha, ha. Au contraire, my friend. I'm going to give you a perfect example. So I have a company that I work with. They do waterproofing and caulking for commercial projects. Pretty specific trade for some pretty specific jobs. So Adam is the owner, and Adam and I were talking about like how to amplify the success of the business. And I call it one thing, one phrase, one singular phrase. I call it shaking hands and kissing babies. That's it. Shaking hands, kissing babies. That's what this game is. And so if you're working with customers, you got to get to know them. You got to get to figure things out. If you're working with companies, it's the same thing, because a company is just a bunch of people, right? Like, this is where we get in our own heads and we're like, oh, wait a minute. This is a business, not an individual. So I have to treat it differently. No, you don't. You don't. In fact, we had a plumbing company. Well, let me finish up Adam. So Adam will do probably between 7 and 8 million this year, waterproofing and caulking, commercial projects. Why? Because he takes this principle to heart. It's not a company, it's individuals. And whether it's the project manager, whether it's the site supervisor, the construction supervisor, whether it's the owner, depending on the size of the business, he makes it his mission to go find out who he needs to know and gets to know them. Now, Adam's a pretty friendly guy. He's got a little southern drawl, a little country accent, right? He's a salt of the earth kind of guy. And so he's figured out a way to build relationships with people at a very granular level. And so when there's bids that come across the desk and there's 4 companies, he's leaning the odds in his favor that they're going to pick him. No, he may not be the cheapest, but he's got a relationship and they know he does good work, right? I'll give you another example. Plumbing company out of Idaho. When we first started working together, they're doing about $35,000 a month, right? And I said, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to grow. I was like, cool. Do you want to grow commercial? You want to grow residential? Different game plan. Same format, different game plan. He's like, I want to grow commercial. I'm like, cool. So we created this list of 250 potential partners, contractors, right? Anything up from a large GC to, a mom and pop remodeler. And I said, cool. Guess what your job is? And he's like, what? I was like, you're going to make a top 20. He's like, what's a top 20? I was like, you're going to go through this list and you're slowly going to start to add people to your top 20. Those are going to be the 20 people that, 1, you enjoy having conversations with and want to do business with. 2, they enjoy your company and want to do business with you. He's like, that's it? I was like, that's it. He's like, okay, how do I do it? Now, super nice guy, right? But I said, you're either going to take a shirt, a hat, a mug, a something, take some donuts, coffee, whatever. You're going to go to the office and you're going to want to talk to either the owner or the project manager. That's it. And he's like, what am I going to talk to him about? I'm like, whatever you want. That's it. Have a conversation with him, right? Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care about them as individuals. And so he did this for 18 months. Took his business from about 30,000, 35,000 a month to 250,000 a month. That's it. Building relationships with companies, or I should say people inside of companies, right? Like, that's what this game is. Now, you're probably thinking like, oh, I don't know what to ask. Well, I'm a retired police officer, so I'm going to let you in a little hint. People love to talk about themselves. Your job is to figure out what to ask them. When you meet somebody in an office, you should be looking around their office. What kind of pictures do they have? What about, do they have a baseball and they used to play baseball? Do they have a signed jersey? Do they have a picture of them on a surfboard? Like, look around and look for the clues to ask them. Oh, hey, you used to play baseball. Is that what that is? Oh yeah, man, I played baseball. Blah, 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 blah. They're going to talk about baseball, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's not about, hey, man, we want to be on your bid list. Hey, man, we'd love to be able to work on your next project. Hey, man, nobody cares. Nobody cares, right? We're working on something behind the scenes, and I should probably start documenting this. But out of almost, I don't know, necessity, we'll call it, we created a commercial construction management company. And I'll say out of necessity because the person I created it with was somebody who had a problem that, because we had a relationship, wanted me to solve it. That's it. Now, for those of you that don't know, I've owned a landscaping company, a window washing company, and then a remodeling company for years, right? Different periods of time, but for years. So I have experience in the space, and we were golfing, and he said, hey, I've got these issues, blah, 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 on this. And I'm like, well, why don't you just create a company to manage these subs? And he's like, that's a great idea. He's like, you want to help me out with it? And the opportunity was born, right? But the opportunity was born out of the relationship, right? So your job is to figure out what is the connection point that I need to have with this person that's going to make them want to do business with me. Now, got another question here. Mine was advertising to the wrong people, but I got up 2 weeks ago and went out and passed out flyers and business cards to at least 11 businesses. It made me feel great from the feedback I got. Awesome. Let me go back into these messages. So you do cleaning services. Now, do you do cleaning services commercial or cleaning service residential, right? Both viable options, right? I'm going to guess if you were handing out flyers and business cards, you were doing commercial. Now, here's my feedback. Take it for what it's worth. Nobody cares about your business card. The only reason a business card exists is for contact information, but nobody cares about your business card. I got a stack of freaking business cards. Like, I don't care. I want somebody's number. That's what I want, right? And I want to ask them for their business card. If I like them, I'll ask them for their number, right? Super simple. I'll cut all that BS out, okay? The second thing, the flyers. Why are you handing them flyers? Are you handing them flyers because you got a special or you got a discount or you got a whatever the thing is? Cool, flyer. Maybe it's an introduction to a conversation. But maybe more importantly, here you go on the screen. More importantly, your job is to figure out what is it they actually need, and do you have something that can benefit them, right? The whole purpose of a quote unquote offer, by the way, guys, is a solution to a problem. That's what it is. If you're offering cleaning services, cool. Why would they want to do business with you? What problem do they have? I'll tell you right now, funny, not so funny story. So in my office, we got, a pretty big office. We've got 4 offices, 5 offices. We got a big conference room, and then we've got our training room, right? But then we have shared bathrooms. Now we have the cleaning company that comes into our office and vacuums and cleans the windows and stuff. Sure, big, no problem there. But the bathroom, I'm telling you, somebody 2 weeks ago, like, died in there. I don't even know how to explain it. How you get like projectile poo on the toilet top and walls, I will never understand. But it was there, right? I'm like almost gagging of this is sick. And so I immediately call up the property manager. I'm like, hey, you need to get somebody down here. I think somebody died. And they're like, wait, what? And I was like, no, didn't die, but like there's a brown mess everywhere. Well, they call their cleaning company, who didn't show up until 8 hours later. 8 hours, right? If I was the owner of the building, do you think I'd want to do business with them anymore? Or I'd be looking around for somebody else? Well, I'd be looking around, right? So what is it that you can offer? And I apologize, I should say, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Niada. What is it that you can offer that would make it a no-brainer for them to want to do business with you, right? Hey, here's what we offer and here's what we do for free. Hey, we're available 24 hours a day for emergencies or whatever. Hey, we offer this, this, and this. Hey, whatever the thing is, right? Like, why would I want to do business with you? So to kind of wrap up this conversation, I like to keep these short. Sometimes I talk too much. But to wrap up this conversation, back to the beginning, the foundation of your business, one of the pillars is marketing. If you can't market, you will never have a business. You will have a JOB, a just over broke. So your job is to learn how to market. Now, one of the ways to do it, Justin threw it up here. So take notes here, right? What's your unique selling proposition? In other words, what makes you different? Why would I want to do business with you? There's cleaning companies everywhere. There's plumbers. There's this, there's that. I'm telling you, driving into work today, I kid you not, probably 25 different plumbing brands, 25, all kinds of different brands, small, big, didn't matter. But there's nothing on their van that said, this is why we're different. So when I need a plumber, I'm going to do this. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Right? Why are you with their time? Why are you worth their money? They don't care about you. They care about what you can do for them. All right. That's all we got for you guys. Appreciate you showing up today. Show up next week. We'd love to have you engage. Listen, by the way, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. Love to answer questions. I want to give you what you need to continue to grow. If you're not using Contractor Plus right now, I highly, highly recommend you do. It's going to help you stay organized and help make this marketing game a whole lot easier for you. All right. You know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1. Off you go.